After 2 weeks of recovering in a hospital, Bishop Mar Mari Emmanuel returned to Christ the Good Shepherd Church in Australia. The bishop had some strong words for the young jihadi who stabbed him repeatedly with a knife.
This young man who did this act almost 2 weeks ago, I say to you, my dear, you are my son, and you will always be my son.
Strong words.
I will always pray for you. I'll always wish you nothing but the best. I pray that my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, to enlighten your heart, enlighten your soul, your entire being.
Very strong words.
There is only one God who art in heaven, the creator of all mankind and everything else that is visible and invisible. And I say with absolute love, confidence, and humility, that God is Jesus Christ of Nazareth.
Some of the strongest words you've ever heard.
I'll always pray for you and for whoever was behind this act. In the name of my Jesus, I forgive you, I love you, and I will always pray for you.
If the bishop's words were in a strongman competition, they would crush Eddie Hall and Brian Shaw and the Mountain combined. That's how strong these words are. Bishop Mar Mari may have lost an eye, but his spirit is totally intact. Of course, when news of the attack broke 2 weeks ago, many people rushed to Twitter to blame the Jews. Andrew Tate, for instance, along with many of his followers, the Tater Tots, insisted that Bishop Mar Mari was stabbed for being an anti-Zionist preacher. Two problems with that theory. First, Bishop Mar Mari isn't anti-Zionist. He just wants the fighting to end, and he says that he loves both Muslims and Jews and wants everyone to become Christians. Second, the attacker turned out to be a young Muslim, which is why Top G soon deleted his tweet. The Tater may have made another embarrassingly stupid claim, but not to worry, he can always blame the Matrix. What most people don't know yet, because the news just came out today, is that the attack on Bishop Mar Mari Emmanuel ended up preventing a larger, more coordinated attack against Jews. When police investigated the attack on Bishop Mar Mari, they uncovered another plot involving some of the attacker's friends. The Associated Press reports, 4 teenagers plotted to buy guns and attack Jewish people days after a bishop was stabbed in a Sydney church, according to police documents cited in news reports on Monday. 5 teens, aged 14 to 17, were charged in a Sydney court on Thursday last week with a range of offenses, including conspiring to engage in or planning a terrorist act. Police alleged they all adhered to a religiously motivated, violent extremist ideology. I wonder what that ideology is. Sadly, the Associated Press never mentions the religion of the teenagers involved in this plot. We can only conclude that all the teens are Mormons. Police alleged they all adhered to a religiously motivated, violent extremist mystery ideology that can't be named, and were part of a network that included a 16-year-old boy charged with stabbing Assyrian Orthodox Bishop Mar Mari Emmanuel on April 15th as a church service was being streamed online. According to a police fact sheet tendered to the Sydney Children's Court, 2 of the defendants charged last week discussed buying guns on April 19th, the same day the bishop's alleged attacker was charged, News Corp Australia newspapers reported. What were the guns for? Hunting koalas? Poaching crocodiles? Let's find out. Gun ownership is heavily restricted in Australia under tough national laws, but there is a black market for firearms in Sydney. Can't blame the authorities for restricting guns, since Australia, as everyone knows, is entirely peopled with criminals. 4 of the boys charged last week, a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, and 2 17-year-olds, allegedly used the encrypted messaging app Signal to plan their attack. I want to die and I want to kill. I'm just excited. Is your plan to get caught or die or escape? A 17-year-old allegedly said on April 20th in a group chat. The 16-year-old allegedly responded, "We're going to be planning for a while. We prefer to escape, but whatever happens, it's the qadr, predetermination, of Allah," the newspapers reported. Darn Mormons. The 15-year-old allegedly said on Signal on April 19th, "I really want to target the Yahud," meaning Jewish people. The 16-year-old allegedly said of the church attacker, "I know the bloke who done it, and he's my mate." So, a 16-year-old attacked Bishop Mar Mari Emmanuel. Police then searched the teen's devices and found the other teens who were plotting a more organized attack against Jews. Bishop Mar Mari lost an eye, but ended up saving who knows how many Jews. On a related note, have you noticed how many Muslim teenagers are getting caught plotting terrorist attacks? I wonder if it's connected to all the Dawah guys telling young Muslims that the concept of martyrdom in Islam gives them an advantage over the Jews. For instance, here's Muhammad Hijab speaking to a crowd of young Muslims about Jews.
But then the question is, if your belief is one which encourages preservation of life at all costs, and our religion is not that like that, and yes, preservation of life is important, but preservation of religion is more important, and there's a concept of martyrdom, then I would consider that to be an advantage, frankly.
People who seek martyrdom have an advantage over people who seek to preserve life.
Then I would consider that to be an advantage, frankly. Because as Robert Greene said, the one who's willing to commit suicide has the initiative. Now, I'm not saying commit suicide. Anyone, this, how we got him here. I'm not talking about suicide mission here, bro. I'm just saying figuratively, the one who's willing to take it further.
Calm down. He only means figurative suicide and figurative martyrdom. Unfortunately, that's where the footage abruptly cuts off. I guess we'll never know what Muhammad Hijab went on to say in his message to Jews, which you can watch on YouTube. Who knows how many young Muslims were encouraged by Hijab's video to seek figurative martyrdom against Jews in order to show the Jews that Muslims are willing to go further with their figurative suicide missions. Speaking of suicide missions, the government of Australia is willing to go even further than the young Muslims. The Australian government is committing cultural suicide on a scale that's only surpassed by the West in general. But whatever else happens as Australia seeks cultural martyrdom, one bishop upset a young Muslim so much that the young Muslim became desperate and enraged and jumped the gun and accidentally exposed the plans of other young Muslims, saving countless Jewish lives. I've never met Bishop Mar Mari Emmanuel, but based on his videos, I suspect he'd gladly sacrifice an eye to save the lives of some Jews, or the lives of some Christians, or the lives of some Muslims. Remember, those young Muslims were seeking martyrdom. By getting caught following the failed attack on Bishop Mar Mari, their lives were saved too.
Love never fails.
No, it doesn't.